Some say they were the most underrated R&B group of the 1970s, but their story goes far beyond the hits. Today, we're diving into the untold truth of The Moments, the group that would later become Ray, Goodman, and Brown. From their early days at Howard University to the chart-topping singles that defined an era, we'll uncover the highs, the struggles, and the secrets that shaped their journey. Where are they now? What really happened to the members behind the voices that made classics like Love on a Two-Way Street and Special Lady unforgettable? Get ready to discover the hidden stories, the career twists, and the personal battles that history forgot to tell. Without further ado, let's get started. The beginning. The story of The Moments begins in 1965 at Howard University in Washington, D.C., a breeding ground for young talent and musical ambition. The original trio, Eric Alvis Sr., Robert Gross, and John Morgan, stood out for their harmonious vocals and raw potential. Recognizing their promise, the Mael brothers, along with Freddie Purin and Toby Jackson, established Hog Records on campus, a small but determined label aimed at showcasing the next wave of R&B talent. It was under this fledgling label that the trio, known as The Moments, recorded their first singles, Baby I Want To and Pray For Me. The release of these singles began to generate buzz, and in 1968, the group welcomed a new member, Mark Green, adding fresh energy and depth to the trio's sound. Around the same time, the group caught the attention of Ed Townsend, a talented singer and songwriter who saw potential in them beyond their college performances. Townsend introduced The Moments to Sylvia and Joe Robinson, a powerhouse duo in the music business who had recently formed Stang Records. Recognizing their unique blend of harmony, emotion, and charisma, the Robinsons quickly signed the group, launching them into the wider world of professional music. Their first single under Stang Records, Not on the Outside, became an immediate hit, and the group's reputation began to spread. They were soon booked for live performances in major cities across the United States, captivating audiences with their smooth vocals and engaging stage presence. However, the early years were not without upheaval. By late 1968, Green, Alvis, and Gross departed from Stang Records, leaving John Morgan as the only remaining member. Determined to keep the group alive, Morgan recruited two new voices, Al Goodman, formerly of the Corvettes and the Vipers, and William Billy Brown, who had honed his craft with the Broadways. Early hits. By 1969, the Moments were beginning to carve out a name for themselves in the competitive world of R&B. The newly formed trio, consisting of John Morgan, Al Goodman, and Billy Brown, released a series of singles that captured the attention of fans and industry insiders alike. Tracks such as Sunday Has Come, Do Say You'll Be Mine, and I'm So Lost in Love showcased the group's rich harmonies, emotional delivery, and undeniable charm. These singles set the stage for their debut album, Not on the Outside, but on the Inside Strong, which became a critical and commercial success, peaking at number 8 on the Billboard Top R&B Albums chart, a remarkable achievement for a group still establishing their identity. The following year, in 1970, the trio released the single Love on the Two-Way Street, a tender, soulful ballad that would go on to become one of their signature songs. Around this time, however, the group experienced its first significant lineup change. John Morgan, despite appearing on the cover of the group's second album, A Moment with the Moments, which reached number 36 on the R&B album charts, began missing gigs and rehearsals. His unreliability left Goodman and Brown functioning as a duo, placing additional pressure on them to maintain the group's momentum. Ray joins and the classic lineup. To stabilize the group, John Morgan was eventually replaced by Harry Ray, a move that would prove transformative for the Moments. This new lineup, Ray, Brown, and Goodman, would become the most enduring and celebrated formation in the group's history. During this period, Billy Brown temporarily stepped back from lead vocals due to overuse and strain on his voice. Harry Ray stepped in seamlessly, taking the lead until Brown was fully recovered, demonstrating the group's professionalism and versatility. Once Brown returned to full strength, the trio entered a golden era, releasing a string of top 40 R&B hits that solidified their status as one of the era's premier vocal groups. Their music ranged from heartfelt declarations of devotion to tender reflections on love and loss, capturing the essence of songs like If I Didn't Care and All I Have, evoking nostalgia in memories of and emotional vulnerability in I Can't Help It. Tracks such as That's How It Feels and Lucky Me highlighted their playful, soulful side, while ballads like To You With Love Perfectly showcased their ability to blend smooth harmonies with raw emotion. Both Brown and Ray shared lead vocal duties, their voices intertwining seamlessly, while Al Goodman emerged as the group's spokesperson, guiding their public image and interactions with the music industry. Albums and transition. After the initial surge of hits in the early 1970s, the Moments entered a period of quiet persistence. From 1971 to 1974, the group released a series of albums: On Top, 1971, The Other Side of the Moments, 1972, and My Theme, 1973, each a testament to their evolving sound, yet none managed to make a mark on the charts. Despite this commercial lull, the trio continued to refine their harmonies and stagecraft, demonstrating a dedication to their craft that would soon pay off. In 1976, they released two more albums, Those Sexy Moments and OJ's Mix the Moments, which, while not chart toppers, further showcased their versatility and ability to blend smooth soul with emerging funk and disco influences. The tide finally began to turn in 1975, as the group's perseverance and polished sound started catching the attention of a wider audience. Between 1975 and 1978, the Moments released three significant albums that helped re-establish their presence on the charts. Look at Me broke through, peaking at number 132 on the Billboard 200 and reaching number 13 on the Billboard Top R&B Albums chart. Following this, Moments with You also found success, climbing to number 40 on the R&B charts, solidifying the group's comeback. During this period, the trio delivered a string of memorable singles that captured the hearts of R&B listeners, including the emotional plea of Look at Me, the romantic intensity of Someone That I, the reflective 9 Times, and the bittersweet sentiments of We Don't Cry Out Loud and I Don't Want to Go All Ever. By 1978, the group had amassed an impressive tally of 27 R&B charted hits, a testament to their resilience and enduring appeal. Sensing the need for a new chapter, they made the bold decision to leave Stang Records and sign with the larger, more influential Polydor Records. However, this transition came with a challenge. A legal dispute prevented them from continuing to use the name The Moments. Rather than let the setback stall their momentum, the trio embraced reinvention. Drawing on their personal identities and reputations, they rebranded themselves under their own names, officially becoming Ray, Goodman, and Brown, a move that would mark the beginning of a new era, one that blended their classic R&B roots with a refined, polished sound ready to captivate an even larger audience. Early Ray, Goodman, and Brown era. In 1979, the newly rebranded trio, now officially known as Ray, Goodman, and Brown, stepped boldly into a new chapter of their career. Their first single under the new name, Special Lady, quickly captured audiences with its smooth, heartfelt delivery, becoming a major hit and reintroducing the group to R&B fans nationwide. Riding this momentum, the trio released a self-titled album that showcased their signature harmonies and polished production. The album climbed to number 17 on the Billboard 200 and reached an impressive number 2 on the Billboard Top R&B Albums chart. Its commercial success was undeniable, selling over 500,000 copies and earning certified gold status, solidifying the group's place in R&B history. The following year, the trio continued their hot streak, releasing a series of singles that resonated deeply with listeners. Tracks like Inside of You, My Prayer, Here in My Heart You Will Stay, and Happy Anniversary captured the essence of love and emotion, further cementing their reputation as masters of smooth soul. That same year, the trio released a second self-titled album, which, while not reaching the heights of its predecessor, still performed respectably, peaking at number 84 on the Billboard 200 and number 16 on the R&B chart. By 1981, the group was continuing to produce charting singles, including With Your Strings Going to Make and the dual release How Can Love Go So Right, Slowly Slipping Away. That year also saw the release of the album Stay, another collection that highlighted their mature, emotive sound. The trio maintained their creative output into 1982, releasing Open Up, the final album under Polydor Records. However, changes were afoot. Harry Ray departed the group to pursue a solo career, leaving a vacancy that was filled by Kevin Ray Owens, a background vocalist who had honed his craft with El the Vanra. The comeback. The early 1980s were a time of transition, but by 1983, Ray, Goodman, and Brown orchestrated a triumphant comeback. The group signed with Panoramic Records, while Harry Ray briefly reunited with Sylvia and Joe Robinson under Sugar Hill Records, releasing one album before returning to join Goodman and Brown once again. Reunited, the classic trio reclaimed their place in R&B with renewed energy. Their single Who's Going to Make the First Move My Way marked their return to the charts, announcing that the group was far from finished. Following this resurgence, the trio released Take It to the Limit, a duet-focused album that reached number 24 on the Billboard Top R&B Albums chart, reinforcing their continued relevance in the evolving R&B scene. They maintained a steady presence with charting singles like Celebrate Our Love Around in 1987 and Where Did You Get That Body So Good in 1988. By the late 1980s, the group had signed a deal with Manhattan Records, culminating in their final album, Move for Loving, which achieved a respectable number 66 on the Billboard Top R&B Albums chart. Later years and lineup changes. As the 1990s approached, Ray, Goodman, and Brown faced significant transitions in both personnel and direction. In 1991, Billy Brown's nephew, Harold Brown, formerly a member of the legendary Delphonics, stepped in as the group's lead vocalist. Harold brought his own distinctive style to the trio, honoring their classic sound while infusing it with fresh energy. He remained with the group until around 1993, eventually leaving to join Manhattan Records and later becoming the lead vocalist for the Stylistics, further cementing his place in R&B history. Tragedy struck in 2000 when Harry Ray, a key member and the voice of much of the group's emotional resonance, suffered a fatal stroke. He passed away on October 1, 2000, at the young age of 45, leaving a profound void in the group and in the hearts of fans. In the years that followed, several vocalists, including Kevin Ray Owens, Greg Willis, and Way Elliott Owens, rotated through the lineup to maintain the group's presence on stage, while Owens eventually became the official replacement for live performances. Despite these challenges, the trio continued to record and perform. In the early 2000s, they released 2 albums, one in 2002 and another in 2003, proving that their harmonies and signature R&B sound had not faded with time. In 2003, the group also lent their talents to the background vocals on Alicia Keys' hit You Don't Know My Name, bridging generations and showcasing the enduring relevance of their artistry. On July 26, 2004, the group faced another heart-wrenching loss when Ray Goodman passed away at the age of 67. His absence marked the end of an era, but the legacy of the trio would continue. Larry Ice Winfrey, a longtime honorary member and supporter throughout the 2000s, officially stepped into Goodman's role in 2014, allowing the group to maintain their celebrated sound for new audiences. The resilience of Ray, Goodman, and Brown was further tested in 2016 when Billy Brown suffered a stroke. Demonstrating the same determination and strength that had carried the group for decades, he made a full recovery and returned to performing. Meanwhile, Ken Blout and Kenny Brown took over the roles previously held by Owens and Winfrey, solidifying the current lineup. So where are the members today? Billy Brown. Billy Brown is arguably the heart and soul of Ray Goodman and Brown, the voice that fans immediately recognize from hits like Special Lady and Look at Me. Born in 1949, he rose to prominence in the late 1960s and early 1970s as part of the Moments before the group transitioned to Ray Goodman and Brown. Billy Brown primarily serves as the lead vocalist, though his deep understanding of the group's harmonies also allows him to mentor and guide the other members. During the classic era, he shared lead vocals with Harry Ray, creating some of the most memorable duets in R&B. Today, Brown remains the anchor of the group, maintaining continuity from the 1970s lineup to the current configuration. Billy has largely kept his personal life private, but it is known that he has a family and maintains close ties with relatives, including his nephew Harold Brown, who briefly joined the group in the 1990s. Billy's dedication to his craft is legendary, and he has often spoken in interviews about his focus on music over personal fame. As of 2025, Billy Brown continues to tour and perform regularly, showing remarkable stamina for a performer in his mid-70s. After surviving a stroke in 2016, he made a full recovery and returned to the stage, demonstrating resilience and a deep commitment to his fans. Billy actively oversees the group's activities, mentoring younger members like Ken Blout and Kenny Brown, ensuring that the legacy of Ray, Goodman, and Brown remains alive for new generations. Ken Blout. Ken Blout is one of the newer members who joined the group after the departures and passing of earlier members. Blout primarily performs background vocals, harmonizing with Billy Brown and Kenny Brown, but also takes on occasional lead parts during performances. His contributions are essential to recreating the rich, layered sound that defined the classic era of the group. Information about Ken's personal life is relatively limited, as he tends to maintain a low profile outside of the band. However, those close to him report that he is dedicated to music and family life, balancing touring with home commitments. Ken Blout tours full-time with Ray, Goodman, and Brown, participating in shows across the United States and occasionally internationally. He is recognized among fans as a reliable performer who helps preserve the classic sound while adapting it for modern audiences. Kenny Brown. Kenny Brown, another newer member, also plays a pivotal role in keeping the band's signature harmonies alive. Kenny Brown performs primarily background vocals, but often steps forward for select solos during live performances. Like Ken Blout, he is instrumental in maintaining the sound that fans expect while helping Billy Brown lead the group. Kenny, much like Ken Blout, keeps his personal life private. He is described by band insiders as hardworking and passionate about music, dedicating much of his time to touring and rehearsals. Today, Kenny continues to perform with the group on a full-time basis. His voice blends seamlessly with Billy Brown and Ken Blout, helping ensure that the legendary hits of Ray, Goodman, and Brown are performed with authenticity and energy. Larry "Ice" Winfrey. Larry Winfrey became a long-standing honorary member during the 2000s. After Ray Goodman passed away in 2014, Winfrey officially filled Goodman's spot. He performed baritone vocals, helping to preserve the classic sound of the trio. Exact birth date isn't publicly documented, but he has been active in the music scene since the 1980s, so he's likely in his 60s or 70s as of 2025. Winfrey has kept a relatively private personal life. He is known among fans and insiders as dedicated to live performances and maintaining the legacy of Ray, Goodman, and Brown. He continues to perform with the group alongside Billy Brown and Kenny Brown, appearing in live shows, nostalgia concerts, and R&B festivals. Winfrey is regarded as a stabilizing presence in the band, keeping the legacy of the classic sound alive for new audiences. Mark Green. Green joined The Moments in 1968, shortly after their initial singles. He contributed as a vocalist and occasional songwriter during the group's early Stang Records era. His work helped establish the band's initial sound and presence. Mark Green would likely be in his late 70s to early 80s as of 2025, considering the timeline of his activity in the late 1960s. Very little is publicly known about Green's personal life after leaving the group. He appears to have stepped away from the public music scene in the early 1970s. Green is largely retired from the music industry. His legacy endures through the early recordings and singles that marked the band's beginnings. Eric Alvis Sr. Eric Alvis Sr. was one of the original founding members of The Moments at Howard University in 1965. He contributed as a vocalist and helped define the group's collegiate, R&B-based harmonies. Assuming he was in his early 20s during 1965, Alvis Sr. would now be around 80 to 85 years old in 2025. Alvis Sr. helped lay the foundation for the group, but eventually left before the classic lineup formed. Details about his personal life and family are sparse. Life today. Eric Alvis Sr. appears to be retired and living privately. His contributions to the group's origin story remain critical in understanding the band's early history. Richard Gross. Gross was another of the original founding members at Howard University. He worked alongside Alvis Sr. and John Morgan to craft the early sound of The Moments. Similar to Alvis Sr., Gross would likely be in his early to mid-80s in 2025. Very little is known about his later life. Gross left the band early on, prior to the rise of the classic lineup. He appears to live a private life outside of the music industry, with his legacy resting in the formative years of the band. Harold Eben Brown. Role in the band. Harold Brown, also known as Eben Brown, is Billy Brown's nephew. He served as the lead vocalist in the early 1990s after the original lineup had evolved and other members had moved on. Harold brought his background with the Delphonics into the group, adding a new layer of harmony and smooth R&B delivery, likely in his late 50s or early 60s in 2025, based on his active involvement in the 1990s. Harold has maintained a relatively private life, focusing on music rather than public attention. After leaving the group in 1993 to join Manhattan Records and later becoming lead vocalist for the Stylistics, Harold continues to perform sporadically, often in R&B nostalgia tours and reunion events. John Morgan. Morgan was part of the original Howard University lineup and appeared on the cover of the group's second album, A Moment with the Moments. He initially stayed after the first hits, but eventually began skipping gigs and rehearsals. His departure led to the entry of Harry Ray, forming the classic trio, likely in his early 80s as of 2025. After leaving the group, Morgan's personal life became private. He did not continue prominently in the public music scene. Morgan is retired and lives outside the public eye. He is remembered primarily for being part of the group's early transitional period before the classic lineup solidified. Johnny Moore. Johnny Moore replaced John Morgan for a brief period and was Sylvia Robinson's brother-in-law. He contributed as a vocalist on some of the early 1970s material, including appearances on album covers and performances, likely in his late 70s to early 80s in 2025. Moore's life after the band remained private, with little public information about family or later career. He is retired, and his legacy rests in the transitional albums of The Moments, bridging early and classic eras. Kevin Ray Owens. Owens replaced Harry Ray during his initial departure in the early 1980s. He performed lead and background vocals for live shows and recordings, helping maintain continuity in the band's sound, likely in his 60s or early 70s as of 2025. Owens has kept his personal life private, focusing on music performance. He occasionally filled in as a touring vocalist in the later years of the band. Kevin Owens continues to perform in some capacity with nostalgia shows or smaller engagements, but he no longer tours full-time with the main trio. His contributions are especially valued for preserving the group's classic R&B style during transitional periods. And that brings us to today, where the surviving members of The Moments, from the early Howard University days to the iconic classic lineup, continue to leave their mark, whether through nostalgia performances, mentoring, or quietly enjoying life after decades in music. Their voices and harmonies shaped R&B history, creating timeless songs that still resonate with fans around the world. Now we want to hear from you. Which moment, song, or era is your favorite, and why does it stand out to you? Be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories in the future.